Good
Hey,
evening,
Mac.
Chris.
Hey, Mac. How are you?
Good, good. Hey, everyone. Welcome. It's another Wednesday. It's January 26th. It's already the end of January. Oh my, almost through the first month of 2022. But you know what time that is? It is another night for Alberta Landlords and Shop Talk, the old things dedicated to landlording here in Alberta. I've got a small laundry list, Chris. I'm talking about this mastermind that I'm running. We've got some folks already committed to it. In fact, I think I got one of them watching right now, Christine. Just want to say hi out to you. I'm going to do a little sneak preview on this thing called Mighty Networks and what we're using it for. And cause I know a lot of people aren't the most tech savvy, unlike you, Chris, who've you're like now a wizard with what you can do with Windows 3.1. And we're going to talk about domestic violence, domestic violence and mental health. I want to make a request out to the community. If you know of a subject matter expert, or if in fact you are one, or we can get connected with somebody to help do these topics justice, because I'm a little bit embarrassed that we haven't had a conversation about that yet. And those are two very important topics. And Chris, you're doing an eviction. You just completed it. I actually made your one of your pictures a thumbnail for tonight. You have a. I'm losing my voice. Just that joke was so good at Windows 3.1. You lost me after that.
It's my little millennial buddy there. And yeah, we'll talk about that. We got a few other things on our list of things to chat about. Looking forward to tonight, and glad. And I just clicked to see who's watching from where, and welcome the Saskatchewan Landlord Group. Always happy to have you guys here and hear what we're up to. Some stuff.
Community. They're not a group. They're a community too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sorry, Saskatchewan Landlord
Community. Yes,
Yeah.
the prairies are together.
I have so much on my plate. I don't do as much with that group. With our other admins are helping out, so we love having you guys a part of this. It's just let's all work together, and we're even going to put a plug in for our 18-wheelers at some point tonight. So
there you go. Let's help some landlords, Chris. Kick her off.
okay, go grab a drink, a coffee, a beer, a gin, one of my faves, whatever it takes to get you through this show. And participate with our show. We really want to hear from you and throw in your questions.
Through? What do you mean by that? Just start it. Roll the intro.
And you're back. You just made it in under the wire. And you went and grabbed yourself something to get you through the show.
Some Jasper Brewing Company.
Oh. I thought it looked like something to do with the Canadian government there, the way that thing was on there.
It kind of does look like that, hey? Well, I think you can get the camera right. Jasper Brewing.
I was going to say, might not be that.
It's like Parks Canada.
Okay, we'll go with Parks Canada. I was going to say, it's anything to do with federal government. Might not be that beer to drink tonight. So.
Okay, let's start off. I had a good suggestion. So as you guys have known, we've been talking about this conversation moving over to Mighty Networks, and it's kind of a new area. It's not completely new, but it's a little bit different. And some folks aren't the most technically inclined. Chris, you got off DOS prompt there, and now we're going over to Windows 95. So let me just give you a brief walkthrough. I know we're very comfortable with Facebook, but every show I'm going to do a 2-minute little preview of what's what. Ask a question, Chris, because I know you're kind of new to this, and we'll do that. So let me just pop up that screen right now, add to the stream, make you look small, Chris. There you go. So folks, this is, I should pop this out too. This is it. This is Mighty Networks. It's basically like a Facebook, but it's our own private space. Down the middle, we have a news feed, and this news feed is completely based on what you choose to follow, which is what's kind of cool about it. You can actually turn off notifications for subjects that don't interest you or you don't want to be notified. So it's a great way to focus the conversation and not get the noise of Facebook telling you what's going on and what it thinks it's important for you. let you actually pick that. And how you do that is over here in topics. So we've got COVID topics, community announcements, our partners and discounts that we've partnered up with, tenant issues, some best practices, maintenance and trade, evictions, all that good stuff. If you care about a subject, you can click on it and mark it as follow, and then you'll get notifications if there's new conversation happening over there. Likewise, if you don't want to follow certain subjects, turn them off. Life is good. And that's really the one and only 1 minute preview for Money Networks tonight. And as you can see, we have got quite a bit of different topics. So it's fun place. And I just added a tech category. I haven't caught up with the marketing side of it, but I've been plugging away, and this is kind of my sweet spot. I love just looking at what's going on for our industry. So there's a bunch of information here as well, and articles and all good types of stuff. Oh, for folks doing Airbnbs, there's this thing called Getsy now. I'm just going to kind of quickly rant on that. They're apparently a new software platform to help you manage your Airbnbs. So I haven't done any digging into it, but something to keep in mind if you're on that side of the business. So, okay, that's it. That's a 2-minute plug there.
Nice. Cross
that off the list.
Let's grab a couple quick questions. Our good old faithful Christine Zepka. Is that how you say it?
I think so. The R would be silent. I know. I should have asked her. I had the pleasure of talking to Christine on the phone. I think it was last Thursday. Awesome conversation. She's one of the ones that's going to be joining me in my mastermind, which I'm really excited for. She's super talented. She's got some cool deals going down. She's big into Lethbridge right now, and she's doing some really neat stuff. Also, she's managed her properties all remotely, which is pretty cool. We got Delicate Venus Flytrap. That's a fun name. At the top for me, I'm dealing with tenants in rural Ottawa, Ontario. Definitely mental issues. Okay, yeah. So that is a good point. I mean, Chris, from a law enforcement perspective, I assumed you got some training in this with mental health and domestic violence. I mean, that must have been like, of course, being a police officer, I think that'd be right up your alley.
Well, the domestic violence thing is the people caught up in that, and you know what, predominantly women having to deal with domestic violence and children. The thing is that I went through, I think you have to go back, it's either 8, 9, or 10 times before the woman or the victim, if it will just do it in general terms, will make the mind
speak up.
You can't hear me?
No, we'll speak.
Before they will speak up and take a stand and get out of there. And it's a tough go. And many times in my career, they're supported the woman, encourage her, give her that rah. But the problem is they need a continued support and reassurance they're doing the right thing. And just by virtue of what I did and the volume of things I've had to do, I couldn't be there to be that person. And it evolved over my 25 years where the victim services came in and other services became for domestic violence. And we as landlords, we see that and we hear that, and you think, okay, great, I got domestic violence, there's a criminal offense, what do you do now? Do you evict? Do you let the lady stay? Can she make the payments? It's a tough one for us too, because now you start thinking with your heart, you have your compassion step in, and then how do you run your business effectively and support the person who needs supporting, as just from a human perspective. And
there's rules too, right? There's very specific things in the RTA dealing with that subject that we haven't really talked about because we should. So
if you have a tenant that's in a domestic situation and they're in a lease, they can make an application and your lease doesn't hold any weight. They can get out of it through our Residential Tenancy Act. I'm not sure about Ontario, where our Venus Flytrap member is coming from. I don't know what your rules are. It'd be great if Kayla was watching our show tonight. She could give us a little input. In fact, if you are watching, Kayla, let us know you're here, and we'll send you a quick invite. And you can jump on with us for a couple minutes here and offer some an opinion. So,
well, yeah, I think that's like I said, I'm a little bit ashamed that we haven't approached the subject sooner, as long as we've been doing the show. And it's a conversation. I'm not the right person to even. I'll ask the right questions, perhaps, but I can't even facilitate because there's a lot to it, right? And I want to make sure we do it properly. or bringing on that expertise on the show. So that's something that we'll bring up because if you're in the business long enough, I'm sure you'll all cross it, and having the ability to observe or perhaps understand what's going on to identify would be critical, because I know I could definitely brush up on that. So.
Yep. And Christine adds in here, says, as an abused person, we are taught the abuser will kill us. And yeah, because that's just, you're so, and you're so not sheltered, just, what's the word I'm looking for? You're just
Conditioned?
Not conditioned, continually conditioned, and I'm going to use shelter, but not in a good way. You're just boxed in. You have nowhere to go, and at some point you become, brainwashed into believing what's going to happen to you. And
Complacent, yeah, maybe.
we as landlords, if you're educated on that, and you see this going on, be careful not to get too close to it. Get the right people in there, because then you can have the abuser come out after you and other things. But you do have to remember your asset, and that's got to be a priority, in line with getting your tenant some help as well. So,
Well, I'll put it this way: if
isolated. That's the word I'm looking for. Isolated. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd put it this way: if that comes as an observation, I would break a lease all day long to correct that situation without even hesitation. So, yeah.
Absolutely. There's no point in fighting City Hall on that one. You know what's coming down the pipe, so just break the lease and help your people. You will lose that one every time. So, what else we got here? Here's another one here. I lead with my heart. And I got burned, unfortunately. Was able to have her sign a N11. So this is an Ontario term.
This is Ontario, yeah.
Yeah. The brother and mother were upstairs. He is...
Okay.
And he's beating them up.
He's destroying the property.
Yeah.
And hoping he is gone by the end of the month. Oh, wow.
Oh, this is happening right now. Okay. Okay. If you would share with us your first name, that would be great. That way we can refer to you that way as well. So, but thank you for being a part of the show.
Yeah.
Love having the Ontario connection, and that's come from our exposure with Kayla and Mac. We did a couple of shows down there. What was that about? You want to give us?
Oh yeah. So actually, another one released today. It's a Canadian real estate investing channel. It was formerly Matt McKeever. Chris is now famous too. So I brought his tech savvy butt over there, and we talked about what good things being in Alberta. It was kind of a fun conversation. So, but let's talk about another challenging subject as being landlords. Perhaps you just went through eviction, right, Chris? And my thumbnail for tonight, you get us going on the topic, because you did the eviction, and how much garbage or debris was pulled from this property, because it did not look like a very big property.
Well, if you can put some of those pictures up as we go, I'll certainly have a chat. So it's a small two bedrooms upstairs, and it's an older 19 probably 20s 30s houses. It has the the design is, there's no eaves on it, so it's a wartime type house. The lady that had it, the renter in it, unfortunately or fortunately, whatever, was her daughter. She bought the house for her daughter to live in, with her daughter and her 2 children. There are some mental health issues there, some things that are going on, but it became a point where you have to be a business person, you have to be a parent, and you have to stop enabling. And the lady, she knew that she's enabling your daughter, but we're parents. We love our kids. We want to help. We want them to get it. And the problem is they don't get it. And so finally she just said, I've had enough. I can't put any more money out. And what was going on was her daughter was in the house. She had her 2 children there, lost the 2 children through social services back to grandma. Grandma's now has them. And the house just became a hoarding nest of.
Is this everything out of the house in these pictures?
That is just.
Oh, there's still stuff in the house.
This is the basement, but that other stuff was some of the upstairs and partial down. We filled the dumpster up with just the upstairs content and some of the basement. We had to get a second dumpster there. So anyway, getting back to my story. She finally decided to go to court on her own and went to provincial court and felt that she was prepared enough to do things, but again, didn't understand the system. And I'll go back to...
and you're talking the landlord?
Yeah, yeah. No, my
Oh.
whole thing is about the landlord understanding. Okay, so anyway, the landlord, the mother, went back to court, went to provincial court, lost because she wasn't prepared properly. And this goes
Oh.
back to what we're preaching, where Don and Rob say, proper representation and preparation. So one of the realtors in town knows me and says, "Why don't you talk to Chris and get Chris to help you with the court proceedings?" And she did. She felt she could do it. She couldn't. She lost. They actually didn't lose anything. The judge just dismissed it because he couldn't deal with the type of evidence that was before him. Nothing. Few things weren't done right. So I went through the RTDRS, prepared a package. They gave us over a month away. So I went back to them and asked for it to be brought forward because of the abuse that these people were giving the neighborhood, the police involvement. They had criminals hiding out there. The RCMP, well, I'll call it SWAT because we watch TV, but they call it the ERT team. But their SWAT team was there to bring this guy out. They had to use a ram on the doors. It was just a mess of things. So I got it advanced up to by. I got it brought in about 3.5 weeks early. We had the hearing. And of course, right away, they didn't show up, and we got the eviction. Served the documents. They had 7 days to get out of there. So 5 clear days and 1 on either end. So total of 7. They chose not to get out. So the bailiff came, and then they had to have, then the local police, they're awesome. Ponoka police are great. They understand it. There's an order. They come to keep the peace. People see the police there, and they say, okay. And so anyway, we had to arrest the daughter. She flatly refused to leave. She got arrested. There were some mental health issues. She went onward up to the hospital. She did a few days in there, got proper medication, and she was out today, came back, and she was very cordial, very nice, understood her situation, and then picked up her stuff that she had. But in the meantime, we had to empty the house out because there was that much stuff there. So we started filling up a bin. I had 11 people there for 6 hours, and we filled the first bin. It's a 30-yard bin. So we filled that up, and then I ordered a second bin because I realized I'd underestimated what was going on. The next bin that came was 40 yards. Filled that up, and it's sitting there to be hauled away tomorrow. And there's still enough there in the back. I don't know if you can show a backyard picture if I have any there, Mac. But
Sure.
there's enough in the back there. That goes around to the side of the house as well. There's enough there to fill another 30-yard bin. Basically, what the type of individual that was living there was, I like to call them the night walkers. Other people call them, more affectionately, street rats. They're out at night, diving in dumpsters, diving in backyards, checking door handles on cars, all to fund their drug abuse or drug addictions. Yes, we did open up a drawer full of needles, and there was even Narcan bottles there. And if those of you don't know what Narcan is, it's
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Narcan is a drug used to counter overdoses, and that was there so they can go overdose and not have to worry about anything.
Gotcha.
And then yeah, so we got that stuff cleaned out, basement's cleaned out, and now what's left over outside is some stuff that they had set aside and covered up. So I, just trying to play a little bit, to their favors. I left the stuff available for them to pick away at and take out of there. And so we'll give them another week. If that stuff's still there, we'll bring another dumpster and fill it up, be done with it. Now the lady wants to sell the house. She's done with it. Her daughter understands her situation, just wants these people out of her life. And you know what? I think we had to do it just to help the daughter. It's another expense to the mom, but the daughter now has to deal with her own life and make her own decisions, and mom doesn't feel guilty about enabling anymore. So
That's good. That's a milestone to move on, right? So yeah.
But you know what? I will say, because some of there were some landlords drive by and they commented on my posts that were in Ponoka. I will say that those people, they aren't landlords on this page, but I want to give them a little shout out. What an amazing group of people! And all I did was put an ad on our local buy and sell, looking for laborers, $20 an hour, and I had some people step up and it was really, really nice. Yeah, they just said, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it. Had some people say, hey, I'm unemployed right now. I'll come over. For 6 hours at $20 an hour, they got $120, and everybody got along great. And it was a lot of fun having working with this crew. And it was just mismatch of people that got together and they laughed and looked at stuff and couldn't believe what you see for pictures. They're going the same as you are. They're going like, oh my God, how do people live like this?
Yeah. That's not bad. I've often thought about grabbing, I've done it once before. It's been a while. I did with my dad. I'll say he coordinated. This was a long time ago, but we grabbed some general labor to do some digging ditches because that's what we were doing. But yeah, I mean, if you're in a pinch and you're dealing with something like this, to do like just cash jobs, get some hands out there to move that kind of stuff. Hey, it's not a bad idea. And is it pretty quick and easy, Chris? Like you had half dozen folks there that you're paying $20 an hour and you got all that stuff moved?
11, a dozen.
Wow.
Yeah, was it quick? Yeah, we had the house emptied in 2 hours. And that bin was full, so we had to wait for a second bin. So we just started basically emptying the basement out and bringing it up and stacking out, then started pulling stuff from the backyard that was just clearly garbage and stacked it all front. And then the other bin came and we loaded that, and there it sits. So brought the go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask you. So investment opportunity? What's Investor Chris doing with this?
Investor Chris is a hard pass.
Okay.
Yeah. There are some people in town interested in the home, and they may be able to do some nice things for this place, and good for them. I'm not wanting to do this one. So that's that. There's one question that popped up on our page I'd love to address. Do you want to go that road yet, or you want to do something else?
No, yeah, let's go. I got not. Yeah, I have a few notes, but they're nothing important right now. So
Mac and I were looking through the page there just before we kicked off, and it said here, is it Bryce puts on the page says, is it me, or does it seem tenants are acting more entitled now? And I think that's a really neat observation. And Laura Black, she puts up here, says, I think people are sharing a lot of misinformation about rules, etc., with all the social media. And says, hence more and more tenants are pulling well, I don't have to, and see over and over our tenants are getting away with it. I think as well, people commented further down is that people are also getting misinformation because of the internet. And Rob posted the other day, just because you Googled it and found it doesn't mean it's right. And there's so much truth to that, because if you look through some stuff, and we've had to correct people on the page, they're posting things, and it's to do with a U.S. state or another province or something, and then we get, oh, sorry, I didn't check that. Well, that's the thing. Never mind Googling something. Go read our act. It's right there. Mm. And people are getting misinformed, and they think because of that they're more educated, and then they talk and they're uneducated because they're not reading the right things. So thus they're getting this entitled thing, and it's like, I want to go in, I've given you 24 hours notice, I need to do some things, but hey, I'll give you more notice. Friday I want to have a showing with somebody had posted on a page, they want to do a showing. The tenant writes back and says, yeah, sorry, Friday doesn't work for me. Well,
it's not really an option.
It's not, but here's the thing.
Yeah.
Do you take the position with the tenant, yeah, too bad, so sad, we're coming, but you have a healthy relation? Or do you talk to them and say, okay, look, get off the texting. I'm going to tell you that right now. Get off the texting and phone your tenant. Because texting, when you read it, it depends on your mood at that moment, what kind of tone you're putting on their reply, and vice versa.
That's so true. Written, yeah, you lose a lot of the, what's the right word? Not conversation means, but the language, or yeah, you lose a lot in that in a written medium. It's not as Yep. Boy, I can't give you a word I want to tell you, Chris, but it's on the tip of my tongue.
I have a 5 text rule. If it doesn't say coffee, sure, when, now, see you there. If it goes any more than that, phone them.
Yeah.
You know what? To text a page when you could have cut that down into a couple minutes and probably got more resolved, I don't understand people relying on texting so much.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that's fair. I think the key thing too is back up your phone calls with documentation. And what I mean by that is whatever you talk over the phone, like you said, Chris, inspection Friday at 2:00, throw that in a text or throw that in an email or both, and back up that paper trail just in case, if the tenant gets washy on you. You know, I've got really good relationships with my tenants. I'm very fortunate. Actually, so just funny story. Or not funny. So I guess people don't know. I had a guy follow me in hockey a week ago. A player follow my knee. I blew up my knee 8 days ago. So I'm in a knee brace. I'm not very mobile right now. And my tenant texted me on the weekend and says my washing machine is making a squealing noise. I'm like, okay. I searched our Facebook group and someone suggested this appliance repair center here out of Calgary. So I called them up, got them over, and they came out today. They contacted my tenant, arranged everything. My tenant calls me and he says, I feel so bad. They can't reproduce the issue. I'm sorry I cost you money. And he was just super apologetic. And I was like, okay, no problem. I just, you know what? It happens. He's a good guy. I totally trust his judgment. I've had him for a while now and he's on point. So I would not hesitate calling the trade again to support it. But we had conversations on phone first because it was easier just to get that stuff kind of coordinated. I got a tech out there, but where I was trying to go with this is he's apologizing to me about wasting this service call because it turned out to be nothing. They did say that this agitator ring was broken in the washer, but the guy wanted $214 and come back the next day to repair it. And I asked Pierre, I'm like, how's your laundry? Is it getting clean? He's like, yeah, I haven't seen any problems. I'm like, okay, then we're keeping the washing machine. Worst case, I use washing machines like $400. I priced out a couple just in case. And I was like, for almost over half to repair it, or I just go a couple $100 more and get another brand new, and it'll probably last me all new parts again. I'll just do that.
Well, I'll call you next time I'm in Lowe's or Home Depot. I always looking for this is the time. Oh, by the way, this is the time of year to scoot through your Lowe's and your Home Depots because they're blowing out units that maybe have had a ding in the front or something. And I picked up a brand new washer and dryer for $700, and normally should have been $12. And I picked
Brand
them
new?
up. Brand new.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Three.
yep. They're still sitting in the box. I just have them in storage just in case I have something go wrong. But I have them now, and they'll sit till I need them. So just to add here, Bryce, he says, you need to add to the topic, says, we should not be scared about being pushed around or bullied by our tenants. I'm sure we all have had this. We need to put tools in place to control the situation. So one of those tools, and I think you'll agree, Bryce, if you're watching the show, is that one of those tools is education.
Oh, totally.
Knowing the Residential Tenancy Act, knowing what your rights are, with a little bit of flexibility, but at the end of the day, you point out saying, look, I'll use my example from the other day. I had to go change a washing machine hose. We were changing them from rubber to the metal braided because the insurance company wants it. And
really?
The lady says, I went there 24 hours before, gave her the notice, and I said, I'll be in tomorrow night, 5 o'clock, I'll be here 7 minutes. She calls me 5 minutes before, or texts me and says, yeah, can you come tomorrow? I wrote her back. I said, this is a 5-minute fix. I said, I'm coming and I'm doing this. And I went to the door. She goes, oh, hi, sorry, I forgot you were coming. That's why I asked if you could come tomorrow. I go, okay, so what is the real problem? Oh, well, I'm just doing some laundry and I forgot. I go, well, it's simple. I just turn the washing machine off, change the hoses, and you go. And she goes, oh. And that was it. I was literally there 7 minutes. And then she apologized to me afterwards. But again, sometimes the reasonings are just lack of knowledge, and the hose was changed.
Expectation setting, right? You knew your repair is a 10-minute job. The tenant thought it had been something else, and so they tried to reschedule. And absolutely. And so you know, you got me thinking here, Chris. And this is around this whole 24-hour notice. So you need that here, obviously, in Alberta. We have to give 24-hour notice to move a property unless your tenant agrees beforehand. Now, this is the question I want to ask you, Chris, because I know we've talked about this before. If we're given 24-hour notice, but let's say I go and talk to my tenant, and same day he says, yeah, you know what, come over after work to do ABC repair. I go, great. I have that in the text. It's written down. I haven't given 24-hour notice because he's already given me permission. And then, you know, right after supper, I'm up out the hell of the door, and he texts me, he changes his mind. Can I still go over to that place, or am I hooped and I have to restart my 24-hour notice and get that properly done, since he had initially just agreed to let me in within 24 hours? Sorry, what's the right word? Earlier than 24 hours.
Mac, I'm going to apologize to you first. Somebody snuck on to our YouTube channel there and posted a link, and I went in and I blocked it quickly before members clicked on it by accident.
Oh yeah.
So just repeat the last part of your question there. I apologize.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No. So what I was saying is, proper process is if you're following, to the eye of the law is you get your 24-hour notice, you post it, you can go over and do your thing. If you have good relationships with your tenants, though, you can agree to do, if they're okay with coming to you, if you call them in the morning, they're okay coming with you, you to come over after work to do that repair. That's fine too. Now, my question is to you, Chris. Let's say I get the tenant to agree same day for me to come over and do a quick repair. I finish up supper at 7:00. I'm about to head out, and they text me back and say, nope, they canceled last minute, like what that one tenant did for you. Can I still go over that night, or since I had never ever started with 24-hour notice, do I have to restart the whole process and actually get proper notice?
I would say, you know what, if they're giving you that relationship, yeah, okay, sure, come on over, no problem. Then they go, hey, no, this is not going to work. I have to cancel. You know what? Then you're going to have to revisit the whole 24-hour process. You didn't give it to begin with, and then they pulled out. I would just to cover CYA, yeah, okay, here's your 24 hours. I'll be in tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think the reason why I asked that is if you've got a good relationship, this isn't important because you've got the relationship, you've got the communication in place, carry on, business is normal. I think it's where, the tendency might be on the down. You don't quite know where things are at. And if they go and let you in, and it's like not super time sensitive, but like you need to get done with the next day because you've got other dependencies coming down the line. It might be better just to follow the letter of the law with a kind of a washy tenant, just because if they go and jerk you around and take away that last minute, it'll create much more of a headache. And then, like you said, Chris, since you never got the official 24-hour notice to begin with, you might as well just do it proper from the beginning instead of trying to do a shortcut.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's what I agree.
Eunice is saying, just Guidry, she's a shopper and looking for deals. Yeah, Guidry, it was Home Depot and Lowe's. But the thing is, at this time of year, every single store has their own clearance stuff. So you almost have to plan a day. And I'm kind of silly for this, guys, and I apologize, but I love hitting those stores. And I'll take a day and hit 2 or 3 stores because you never know what clearance is and what's wrong because each individual stores has stuff. This isn't a full-blown, wide-open clearance. It's individual stores. So if you see a store, take 2 minutes, run in, look for all the yellow stickers, and then run out. That's sometimes what I do. Drives my girlfriend crazy.
So is that why we didn't go for coffee then? You blew me off for a washing machine?
Yeah.
Right.
Totally. I even called Gord Heisler. I know he's got lots of doors. I said, Gord, look what I found. And he goes, oh, yeah, we're not going to. And you know what?
Yeah.
3 weeks later, Gord calls me up and says, yeah, I know that washing machine? Yeah. I kind of need it now. I said, sorry, bud. It was a one-time deal. So he ended up paying full price for a couple of washing machines. So if you're and Gord always watches the shows later. So Gord, I'm putting a little ribbon at you there because you deserve it.
There you go. That's awesome.
So what else can we grab off the page tonight? So
it's kind of a quiet night. I mean, it's a super busy day. Let's touch base too. We had we had an incident on the weekend where we had a landlord, unfortunately a fellow landlord, print screen and take some information off the page, share it elsewhere, and it kind of got on fire. And I think the local news in Red Deer picked it up. We haven't heard anything from it, which is good. But you have more of a brass way of putting things, Chris, and I'm just saying we don't need to make an example of the landlord. I think the key thing is we stick to a word, and that landlord's been removed. That's not saying they can't come back at a future time in the community, but we're really serious about this, and there's some important reasons. I don't think they're always so apparent up front. So anyways, this information got shared. I think if you go and you print screen, you share something outside the group, the context of that conversation, especially because it's not verbal or talked in person, but it's written. And like you said, I had a much better thought in my head, Chris, and it's not coming out right now. But
it take a shot at me.
I should, but I'm running on blanks tonight, Chris. I had Windows 95 at the beginning, and that's it.
When you take that screenshot and you decide to share it, it's just cannon fodder for a multitude of issues. And we do our best and promote this page as educational. Is there tenants in here? Absolutely. I have no doubt there's a tenant in here because they lied to get in, and we do. We've changed our screening process, and it's a learning process for us, and we've changed our screening process. We have 3 ladies that are so awesome working behind the scenes, and Mac and I
Volunteers.
yeah, they're volunteers, by the way. We can't thank them enough. They're super diligent, and the 3 of them just click because we have a group message going on, and they're back and forth all day long. The 3 of them chatting up a storm, and Max and my phone are going off 100 times a day. But you know what? I think they're having fun, and you know, they take a lot of pride in what they do. So with that said, behind the scenes, yeah, do we have tenants in here? Absolutely. But here's the thing. We're going to talk about posts for a second. If you post something, you are never, ever in trouble for posting the truth.
Yes, that's where I wanted to go with that. Thank you, Chris. Yeah.
If you are going to post something and you're going to embellish it, and you're going to,
it's the emotion that gets you in trouble.
Yeah, you're going to walk the line. Then you know what? And sometimes you fall off that fence and you get a picket right where it hurts. And you know what? Post the truth, and they can complain all they want, and they got nothing. And like Bruce says, we have to stand up for ourselves, and this is how we're going to do it as a community here, by posting your truths. Even better when you have a judgment and their name is on a legal document and it's public information. By God, put it up so everybody can see it, because that's even better. That's a rubber stamped truth. If that makes any sense.
I think now you got my train of thought back on track here, Chris. Is there's facts all day long, post facts. We want to know that. We want to know if there's a challenging tenant. Is there a rash of applications in a certain community or city that we need to be aware of? Share that information. Timely information is so important in helping us out in this business all day long. We're great with that. The challenge is when that emotional factor gets woven into the facts. Emotion is subjective, and especially with it being shared outside the group. It's taken out of context. It's been reshared out of a bunch of different audiences, and they just see a few words. 9 times out of 10, or probably every time out of 10, they're going to look at it and they're going to read it the wrong way, and they're going to unfortunately, the victim here is going to be the person who's on that print screen. That they're going to get probably wrongfully criticized or whatever. It's because you can't factor in that emotion on the facts. I totally get this business is absolutely challenging, and we all have challenging tenants, and we have great tenants. And, you know, every once in a while there's a few bad apples. We get them. If you have to talk about that, pull that emotion onto a separate post, and don't have anything that directly correlates it to who the person you're talking about or just the situation. Just explain it. You'll get a lot of sympathetic high fives in the community. We deal with it every once in a while, but just a much better way. And keep the post to the facts. That helps people out dealing with that challenging tenant, or perhaps there's a lesson learned. You know, even the experienced landlords on here. I know Michael Saleem, if I say his last name correctly, he was on our show over just before Christmas here, and he had a challenge. He had an issue, and he's been a landlord forever. And he's a really good model, bringing in new immigrants into Canada as tenants. And he let his guard down, and he got burnt, and he had to do eviction too. So it's just a matter of time, probably, when it comes down to this business.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what you're trying to say here, or.
Oh, they're talking about, let's talk about hippie mippy, if I read that correctly. Ontario investor here. How can I get in contact with you guys to get some good help with getting a property in Edmonton? Like, which neighborhood is bad, what is like a good price, and so on. I have takes on this. I can talk at Edmonton at a high level. Chris, you go up there quite often, so you take the Calgary and Edmontons of Alberta. I'm sure there's obviously the equivalent out in Ontario. They're a balanced industry. There's multiple factors driving those industries. Therefore, the ups aren't as steep, but neither are the decreases in price. The roller coaster is much more of a nice subtle ride, where if you go to perhaps more of a single industry based town, so like GP, for example, Grand Prairie or Fort McMurray, when they see appreciation and the rents go up, they really go up. They skyrocket. But on the flip side, when things are starting to go south in the oil patch, and we're having a downward or a downward in the market, they'll bomb. So that's something to keep in mind if you can kind of take that kind of adversity in your portfolio. But the other kind of neat thing that Edmonton's got an advantage over Calgary is they are our provincial capital. Therefore, there's a lot of government jobs up there. And there's a little bit more stability in the income. And you look from an oil patch perspective between Calgary and Edmonton. Calgary is very much white collar. Edmonton's very much blue collar. So when we're going through a cycle in the economy where things are contracting and things are going down and things are shutting down or there's less business, the first set of cuts are always out in the field in operations. They thin that out. And if the businesses are still bleeding at that point, which we did coming out of 15 and 16, going in 17, 18, and 19, I'm talking the years here, that's when the cuts started coming out at the white collar and the mid-level management up to the executives. And Calgary kind of felt the burn after. And it takes a lot longer for those jobs to come back because the business has to grow first from the operational side, which is all what Edmonton is. So there's your 101 on oil patch. Coming from a Alberta boy here.
Nice. Eunice goes back to her collections here. So you're saying that if I get a judgment that I'll never be able to collect it, I should post it to save another landlord?
No.
No, we're not saying that. You want to answer this? You want me to?
You go, Chris.
So we're telling you, yes, post it here to save other landlords. Absolutely. And get it up there. Then we're telling you to get a hold of the Landlord Credit Bureau or Front Lobby, our page partner, and you're going to list it with them. You're going to pay your whatever, $40 or whatever they charge. I don't know what the fees are because I haven't had to do one there. Yeah. And it goes on that person's credit bureau. And from there, it's the cheapest method of collection because somebody's going to need credit. They want a brick card. They'll want a Home Depot card. They'll want to buy a car. They'll want to lease a car. They'll want a credit card. Somewhere, when that credit bureau gets run, your judgment will be there for the next 7 or 8 years, and they have to deal with it. And they get an email
to move on with their life. Yep. You know what? And Chris, on that note, I want to riff on what you're saying there. Is a lot of people go like the most common objection I hear is, well, you can't get blood from a stone. This person's a deadbeat. They've got no money. They're not going to do anything. You know, right? You're probably right for right now. Maybe you're right next year. Maybe you're right the second year. Maybe you're right the third year. I have a feeling at some point, I'm going to take a guess here, most of these landlords that are in these ruts will come back and turn around and get their credit in order. So yeah, you might not get your money today, but 7 or 8 years on a line of credit, especially when they need it to advance their life, becomes a pretty big motivating factor to pay that debit out to you on that trade line to reconcile that so they can get their credit and do the next thing they want to do in their life. We had a partner on our page, or one of our landlords. He's your friend Gord Heisler, our friend Gord Heisler. He's a good-sized landlord out in central Alberta, multifamily guy. We got him signed up on the program with Landlord Credit Bureau, now again Front Lobby, and within 24 hours, he had $700 in his pocket from, I don't know, some ex-renter, because the ex-renter couldn't renew his professional fees. He had to pay professional fees to maintain, I don't know if he's a geologist or some sort of a professional accreditation he had to manage, and he couldn't do that because of his credit, because of that trade line. He got that money back in 24 hours of registering that trade line. It was a thing of beauty. So it really works. It not only did Chris talk about registering the trade line affecting the credit score, they give you guys tools to report the monthly payments to the credit bureau, so Equifax through Landlord Credit Bureau. And that's so powerful because now we're no different than a bank. We're no different than a car dealership. And it would make sense. We're lending out an asset worth 6 figures or more, depending on where you guys are, or $500,000 or whatever. Absolutely, we should be able to be a part of the credit game and affect that. And they should also get credit for paying the rent on time, because that's probably the biggest monthly payment that most of these people are making. So.
Yep. Mary brings up a great, I think actually we're leading right into my final comment on this, Mary, was that get their date of birth and their legal name. If you're bringing somebody into your property, you take a picture of their driver's license and you keep that on file. and you print it out, you put it in your file. You take that driver's license and you look at it. Is that the same person on that picture that you're renting your place out to? So if it doesn't look like them, look at it. Take a hard look at it.
Question it. You have to.
You have to. Because when you go to file, is it their cousin that's on there? Is it someone that just kind of looks like them? Ask for a second
Did they
piece of
steal that
ID.
correct? Or did they find that ID? Did they steal it or bought it off someone? Like
Exactly.
ID. What's the word I'm trying to say? Identity fraud.
Yep.
Identity
So-
theft. So yeah.
So yeah, just that's what we tell you about properly identifying, doing this job to the letter properly, saves you in the end. Sometimes you're going to be set up to have a good renter because you've done your due diligence. However, if one does slip between the posts, and then you have now some backing to do it, they go sideways on you. Then you got some backing and some good hard information to help you with that, making that decision.
So maybe I am a millennial, Chris, because I always found that conversation super awkward, being like, yeah, so I've done it. I've taken pictures of passports and driver's licenses, but I hated it. It just wasn't a very comfortable conversation to have, especially in my early days. Our two of the best credit checking products in the industry we've got exclusive discounts with, that's Single Key and Neighborly. They've got a cool feature where if you do their online application, part of that process, the tenant has to upload a picture of their government issued ID. Plus, they do the same thing for their pets, which I think is really cool and really critical, because I never took pictures of pets before. But now on all my applications, I have a picture of the golden retriever, the lab, whatever their dog is. I have some documentation of the name, the age, and the size of it. So if that dog does pass on, or if they bring in additional dogs, I've got documentation saying, well, this is the only dog that I have approval for. So it's just a nice. The more facts you get, the better.
Yep.
That's the way I live.
Yep.
Hoorah.
Eunice says that she.
Sorry.
Yeah, that she says his driver's license is
Yeah.
required, and yeah, absolutely. And you know what? So some of the conflicts you come up with are some of the troubles. Like you point that out. You never thought you should ask, or you felt uncomfortable. This is. Think of it, you're running a business. Can I see your identification, please? Well, we've been talking on the phone. Well, no, I know, but I need to have a copy of identification for this process. And, okay, it stays in the file. Some people say they have trouble when people hear they're going to do a credit check. Well, don't tell the world, I got to do a credit check on you. You tell them, I use a company to help me validate a tenant, and that name of that company is Single Key. Oh, okay. And I'm going to give you a link you're going to upload to them, and they do a bunch of background checks, and one of them may be some kind of background to your credits and your work, and you just kind of flow with it. And they go, oh, okay, they're going to do a credit check? Oh, yeah, the credit check they do does not affect your credit. It's called a soft hit, which means it's just a quick peek. Now,
And
well, I
this
have
is a good
terrible
objection you can deal with. So that's right.
yeah,
I guess what I'm saying.
and they'll say to you, says, well, I have terrible credit. My rent and decision for you to rent here is not based credit only. It's based
Solely.
on you as a person and your entire picture. If you've got bad credit, you look at them and say, some people with bad credit are the best renters I could get. Because you know why? Because they need a place to live, and their living is their priority. So I don't care whether you have bad credit or not, but to verify who you are and what the information you give me, that's what this company does for me, and that's why I do that. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. You know what? When you tell them, I don't care if you have bad credit. You're going to pay my rent? Well, yeah. Some of the best renters I've ever had have terrible credit, but they know they need a roof over their head. Oh, okay. Good point. So I don't care that you have bad credit, is what you tell them.
Yep.
So you be
I
prepared
don't need
for
perfect
those
credit.
answers. Yeah.
I just need to know so I just say, I don't care if you got bad credit, Mr. Tenant. I just need to know you have the ability to pay your rent on time, and that you prioritize paying rent. And on that objection, another common objection I get from tenants is when I talk about this is, oh, I don't want a credit check, so it'll hit my score and it'll affect my score. Well, Single Key is soft checked, so it doesn't affect their credit score at all. So you can knock that objection out of the park. If you go to Neighborly, they are hard check. I know that they are. Last I checked on the website about a couple of weeks ago, they're working to switch over to a soft check system, but right now they are hard check. Even so, a hard check, if they do, I can't remember, X number of of rental inquiries within like a week's time or some period of time. Don't quote me on that. Doesn't really affect it. It won't affect it that much, and the amount that it actually affects it is negligible. And at the end of the day, this comes back to you're asking to take ownership or the keys to a $600,000 house, a $130,000 condo, a $200,000 duplex, whatever, and you're giving me a hard time while asking about your credit score to make sure you can pay your bills on time. I'm sorry, it's a business. That's the way this world works now, and it's just going to go more and more that way.
I'm not sure who was TH. Do we have a name?
I don't know. I think we got a new viewer of the show. So.
Yeah, well, let us know where you're from so we know. And yeah, I realize I want a person from Florida here in Calgary. You know what? That's what Single Key can help you out with that. They're right across the border. They can do some digging.
Yeah.
Use that service. It's $20. It's nothing.
Yeah. It's pretty slick. You know what? Post a question about Single Key or Neighborly on the page. You'll get good feedback from first-hand feedback from the community at large. There's hundreds of landlords that are using it, or thousands actually. So yeah, it's good stuff.
I don't know if you want to post the link here, Mac, while you're playing that where they can go to Single Key, but
I don't. But if you guys go to albertalandlordcommunity.ca, that mighty network I showed you at the beginning of the show, that has all of our discounts in one place. That's my cheat sheet, so it's right there. So there you go, Chris.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're getting to the top of the hour here, folks. Let's see what Mary's had to say here. She just posted a question. Says, as a landlord of a single property, I don't have the ability to do bank withdrawals. Do you feel asking for a post-dated check is better than accepting email transfers?
Okay. Let me take this one, Chris.
Mac, why don't you take this one?
Okay, thanks, Chris. Thanks for just sharing the airways with me. So Mary, I most of my tenants right now, 3 out of the 4 leases I've got going right now, 3 pay with e-transfers. It works fine. Of course, they have to remember every month to send that e-transfer over. Single Key right now has an offering. If you come up and sign up underneath them, they do up to 3 pre-authorized debits or pads for free monthly. So I'm doing that right now for one of my properties, and there's no cost to it, and that's exactly that bank withdrawal that you're talking about. So if you're worried about a tenant not being reliable, then that's certainly an option. Part of your due diligence when you get a tenant in place is making sure that they're reliable, is ensuring that they can follow instructions. They show up to a viewing on time, that they can actually pay these rents on time via e-transfer. I prefer e-transfer just because it's instant. You also know what bank they bank with on an e-transfer. So if you read in the bottom of there's a little paragraph. It's in gray print and make it painful to read. But at the bottom, I'll tell you if it's RBC, BMO, Tangerine, whatever. You can know what bank, which is kind of critical to know down the road should you have to chase them down for a judgment. So.
I like
exciting show.
I love e-transfers because I got automatic deposit. It's there. Once it's there, they can't get it back. And I have it set up. I went into Gmail and I just created an email specific for my tenants, and it goes into the accounts that I ask, and everything's tracked, and I don't get any junk mail because it's a brand new email, and I try not to use it anywhere that I'm going to get spammed. So, it's sweet, and then I can go back however far back I want and find those e-transfers, and
it's good documentation too.
Yeah.
And what I like e-transfers too, like, so again, if you're screening a tenant and perhaps your credit scores like just on the borderline, like you could kind of go either way, you could go and request back, listen, your credit score isn't the best, but I know we don't solely make a decision on credit scores. I like everything else about you, but I just need some additional validation. Would you be willing to show me your last 12 months, or can you please show me the last 12 months of your e-transfers? They're all emails. It should take that person no more than 10 minutes to forge 12 emails. You see exactly when they paid the rent, who they paid it to. Ideally, it should match the email on the lease for the previous landlord, i.e. you're cross-referencing your landlord check on your due diligence when you're letting them in. And, and are they paying in full amount? Are they paying over 2 different payments? Now, I'm okay with the tenant splitting up payment if they reach out and communicate that with me all day long. Great communication. Once in a while, my one tenants, they have a bit of trouble. They ask to push a portion back to the second paycheck of the month. No problem. I always know in advance. I've never been surprised. I'm okay with that. But the e-transfers are really good that way. And I had another thing I was going to rant on, but now I forgot. Okay, that's it.
Well, Mac, it's pretty much top of the hour. I think we should probably wind it up. If there's any more questions out there, you guys, fire them in. We'll try to answer them for you. Pleasure
Exactly.
having Ontario, Saskatchewan with us tonight. You guys are awesome. Loving our community, loving the exposure we're getting, and even though our rules are different, some of our best practices though aren't as business people. So,
Yeah.
So
Perfect. Well, thanks, folks. We'll see you guys next week. A little bit
Yeah,
of a quieter one. Oh, I got some sneak previews coming up. Let's do that quickly right now. So, got really excited, Chris. I didn't tell you this. So we have this cool company. The gentleman is Scott Andrews. Scott Andrews. He is the CEO of Yaldi Renting. They're a pair of brothers out of Scotland. They now live here. They call Canada home. And they have this really cool tool where it's a motivation factor to get quarterly inspections done of your property with photo reports. And they incentivize the tenant to do it for you. So if you are a remote property manager or your properties are from afar in a different city or province for that matter, you might want to pay attention to this conversation. It's going to be a really fun show next time. So,
Nice.
Sandra, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I am going to put my own little plug out tonight because there's one thing I want to say is,
Yes.
you know what? I'm quite proud right now to be a Canadian. I believe that everybody has a choice. And what I see, we're proud when we're after a Stanley Cup. We're proud when we're after a Major League Baseball or basketball championship. But you know what? Tonight is something we've never seen Canadians do over the last days, and heading down to stir up Ottawa and representing the West a little stronger than we have. And from that, there's become quite the following from the East and Central and everything else. So you know what? I am proud to say that those guys, and I hope if you guys, any of you happen to slip onto our YouTube channel and see this last part, is you're down there, just do it right. Don't get silly. I don't think you will. And I think that you're taking the right stand, and there has to be a balance, and there's no balance right now, and it's
What are you
frustrating.
talking about, Chris?
What's that?
What are you talking about?
I'm
Call
talking
it.
about the truckers.
Okay.
Talking about the truckers, and I think you guys knew where I was going with that, but I thank you guys for what you're doing. I'm actually kind of get chills when I watch what's going on, and yeah, they do play that song, the trucker song. But you know what? It kind of makes me proud to see us finally stand up. I find sometimes we're a little too passive. And just all I ask is that, that's my input. Just do it right, do it professionally, do it ethically, and look after each other out there. And let's keep it smart.
All right. Current events. Like it, Chris. Thanks,
Mac,
folks.
got anything else?
Happy to be here, Chris. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Glad you got off Windows 95 today, and we'll push you over to XP tomorrow.
Thanks, bud. Good night, everybody. Have a good one. We'll see you next Wednesday.